I am Paris Chambers, and this is my story. This session, Julian began, letting me into his office. As soon as I entered, the noise of the outside world died down and quieted to nothingness. We'll conduct an interview. I recollected the events of my last session with the expert doctor, let's say. Julian was never quite at the professional level, yet he knew a great deal of certain medicinal applications. An interview, I asked. Why not send me into a drug-induced state to recover memories again? No doubt that last session recovered memories of your past, he murmured, motioning for me to sit down on the soft sofa opposite his desk. An interview will further recover those lost memories. I agree, I reluctantly decided. The wolf is the subject, Julian decided. Last time we spoke on the phone, you said you encountered a wolf multiple times. Yes, I replied. I remembered the phone call an hour before. The wolf. This must connect to the murders of 2006. Or was it 2007? I'm not clear on that either, Julian managed. Now, let's begin. I agreed, and motioned for him to turn on the recorder. My name is Paris Chambers, I began, speaking for the machine, and this is a story regarding the Dark Worf Murders. So let's begin, Julian said. From the beginning. In my childhood, I remember there being murders all around the village I grew up in, I said, explaining. There were a dozen or so murders, and I remember that all the victims mentioned they saw a wolf of some sort before they died. Interesting. The first time I saw the wolf was at a public library. I had just left the restroom and was checking out the fairy tale section when I think I saw it, just out of the corner of my eye, I sighed. It looked like a shadow at first. Nothing. But then I saw it move, stand up, sort of like some sort of bipedal wolf. Except it wasn't. The shadows were too dark, and its eyes were red. Or were they yellow? I'd forgotten. Did it even have eyes? And then? Then it spoke, but not really, I explained. It was like I heard its echoing, booming voice, yet in my mind, it's hard to explain, and it was like the words were there, yet not quite there, all at once. Fascinating. It said for me to be careful, or I might get eaten, and then it smiled this evil smile, smiling with dark shadows that bent awfully. That's when I screamed and ran for help, but nobody believed me, even when the first few murders had already happened. The Dark Worf Murders. Tell me what you think of them, Julian told, shifting in position. I remember that children were being found in their dormitories dead, I reminisced. Their limbs were all over the room, and I remember that one limb would always be missing, whether it be a head or a leg or anything. Nobody could figure it out. Not then, and maybe not now. I also remember that large wolf prints were found in some of the rooms with the murders, as well as strange wolf howls at night, only some people could hear. Yet, Julian began, according to my data, wolves didn't live where you lived. Precisely, I replied. It makes no sense at all. Continue your story. The second time I saw it was at the foot of my bed, I continued. I woke up one night to see the curtains parted and the full moon staring at me through the window. Only, the moon didn't seem right. It was too bright, too white, too eye-like. I then had this sudden grip of fear, like I was being watched, and then I saw it at the foot of my bed. The wolf. I tried to scream for my roommate, who was sleeping below me, for help, but I just couldn't. I sighed deeply, remembering. The shadows looked like the big bad wolf, you know, from kids' books, only far worse. Not fictional, not cartoony, but this wriggling mass of worms making up a wolf. That isn't good. I finally got the courage to move, and I looked at a nearby mirror to find my roommate Tiffany gone. The bed was made, yet there was no sign of her. The wolf just sort of stood there and cackled. I ran. Just ran out of the room, looking for someone, and I heard the big bad wolf follow me slowly, just walking. I heard big, loud stomps, always just behind me. Did you find someone? Not exactly. Explain. I ran and ran, and the building never seemed to end. It should have ended quickly, yet the holes just looped and twisted. Somehow, I got the brave idea to climb out the window, and I did just that. What then? I just ran straight outside and kept running. The world wasn't right, like it was too fuzzy, yet too rough, like bones. Everything cracked as I ran, like brittle stones being broken, the fossils of something old. All while, that wolf followed me, I informed. But then I ran into someone. I wasn't paying attention and just kept running, and I ended up noticing this person at the last moment and tripped and fell next to him. Who was he? Julian asked, raising his glasses. I don't know, I confessed. But whoever he was, I think he saved me. How? Well, he turned to look at me, and I saw his face. He had these big round glasses on, and the pale white moon seemed to reflect off his glasses, turning them white at every angle. He wore this old-fashioned looking coat and a top hat, like some sort of displaced train conductor from the old times. Notable? Before I could scream or run, he just asked me what I was doing here, and I quote, "Who are you? What are you doing in my domain?" And then I heard the wolf behind us. I took a breath and paused. Suddenly, the man turned to the shadow, the big bad wolf, and frowned. He seemed confused, like it wasn't supposed to be there. Julian jotted something down on a pad. Then I saw these bones erupt from the ground like tentacles, yet blockier, and they surrounded the wolf. The wolf just howled, and before I could do anything, the man tapped my forehead, and I turned to look at him, and I saw this skeleton, except everything was wrong. The skull had no eye sockets, and there were too many joints, and 2 long legs, and it seemed oddly comforting. Before I knew it, I suddenly gasped for air and found myself staring at Tiffany, my roommate. How? I began. Don't know. She told me she heard a wolf's howl and it woke her up. She said she found me just beneath the window and hyperventilating. I, of course, didn't tell her what had happened. And then? Julian asked. It's the strangest thing, I began. I started to see the man everywhere, first at the cafeteria among the people, and at first I thought I was imagining it, but then the next time was in my room as I was going in. He smiled and just faded away before my very eyes. Did it scare you? No, the presence of him, it was strangely comforting. And the wolf? At night, I started to hear something pouring at the door, trying to get in, always at the exact same time, 1:28 a.m. On more than one occasion, I heard something pacing just outside my window. I was always unable to wake up my roommate, and if we tried staying up, she would mysteriously fall into a deep sleep. This is interesting. Once I heard my teacher's voice outside the door, and, in my sleep-deprived state, I was going to open it, but then I heard this warning that told me not to open it, and then I peeked through the keyhole and saw the big bad wolf again, and it opened its mouth to speak, and the words that came out were my cousin's voice. Terrifying. One of the days, something odd happened, I recollected. It was perhaps the worst night, and the big bad wolf's shadow, just a silhouette pacing outside my window, was loud, and he, or it, was scratching at the glass. I took a peek and saw the same shadowy grin, causing me to jump back. But the window, it was cracked, and the cracks were beginning to spiderweb. That can't be good. There was nothing I could do to prevent the wolf from breaking in and whatever it was planning, I explained. But then I felt this sudden unity inside me, like all my bones and organs were working as one. And then I didn't hear or see the wolf. The window was open, my roommate was gone, and I saw the strange man outside on a hill, just peacefully overlooking the forest. That's when I blacked out. When I came back to, I was in the hospital, and it was a solid month. You vanished in that forest for a month, and have no recollection, Julian affirmed. This man, this person, is something we must look into. With that, I believe, that is all. And that was that.